welcome everybody. Wow, what a turnout. Thank you everyone for coming. I have a feeling it wasn't because of me, it might be because of my guest speakers. But we're so happy to see all of you. I do a wellness seminar once a month on different topics. If this is your first one, I'm happy that you're here. And it is a unique one because we do have some special guests that will share some really great information. And just a reminder, if I have a topic that you're interested in and you want to be my special guest, you're welcome to collaborate with me because we'd love to have a big turnout like this every time. So today, so May is actually National Mental Health Awareness Month. Nowadays, it's becoming more of an issue, mostly in younger people, but also with seniors too, and it can be a common thing. I think for all of us, if we've lived some life, we've gone bouts of either anxiety or depression at some point in our life, and it's good to understand it a little bit better, to take off the stigma behind it so we can talk about it, so we can help each other, so we can support each other through seasons of depression or anxiety, and then just different tips that we can do to help combat it, to help aid in it, and to help people and our loved ones that might be experiencing it as well. So my portion's a little bit boring. I'm doing a little bit more statistics, little basic things, and then I have my special guests that will be giving more information, personal testimonies, and it's just going to be really good stuff. Okay, so some people might think that depression and anxiety are a normal part of aging, which it's not. There might be reasons that are typical with aging that you might experience depression. So about 4% of adults ages 70 plus have clinical depression, and it's a chemical imbalance also in the brain. Up to 13% of seniors show significant depressive symptoms, and nearly 1 in 3 seniors has anxiety or depression diagnosed. Some people go around without it being diagnosed because they never seek the help that they need. So depression rates can increase with things like chronic illness, loss of independence, and also social isolation. So these are common things that affect seniors that are a reason for depression. So some of our risk factors here. I think I'm in the way. Okay. Some of our risk factors can be life changes. Obviously, you're retired, you lose the sense of purpose. Maybe you had a lot of your identity and a lot of your life poured into a profession that you've done all your life, and now you're retired, so what now? That can be something that you start to feel depression from. Of course, a loss of a spouse, friends, family members, people pass away, and we're going to go over the difference between depression and grieving. That's normal. And then reduce independence. As we age, of course, we start to lose independence of maybe driving skills, eyesight gets worse, different things that start to limit our independence can be depressing sometimes. Physical factors also can be things like chronic pain or illness that we all have dealt with before. And even some medications have side effects that can change your moods and get you more down, more depressed, less energy. Things like sleep problems can also cause depression when you have a hard time sleeping at night, getting the rest that you need so you can recover and recoup. And then things like social factors. Loneliness and isolation can definitely cause depression. You might have experienced that before coming to our community, being alone a lot, not having the social outlets you used to, like with work or activities or groups. I'm a firm believer that humans need other humans. Like, we need community. Even if we're more of a quiet person, you like your solitude, we still need each other. We still need that social interaction with each other. So here are some signs and symptoms of depression. It's good to understand it and ask yourself, am I going through depression or not? They can affect us emotionally, physically, behaviorally, and also the way we think. So let's touch down first on emotionally. If you're having sadness or emptiness that lasts more than 2 weeks, this says a week, but it's supposed to be more than 2 weeks consistently, that might be a red flag that you may be experiencing depression. A sense of hopelessness, irritability, or loss of motivation. These are emotional factors that we need to flag if we're experiencing these things. Physically, it can feel like low energy. It can be sleep problems, appetite changes, weight loss, or weight gain. Behaviorally, you may start to lose interest in hobbies you once enjoyed. You have no interest, you have no desire anymore. You start to withdraw from people and isolate yourself is a sign. Things talking about suicide or death, that's also a definite red flag for depression. And then the way you think, you're having trouble concentrating sometimes. You're starting to have memory issues, can be connected to depression as well. And a feeling of worthlessness and just having a low sense of self-worth. Some symptoms of anxiety, which we can all experience in our life for different reasons as well. And again, anxiety, if it starts to become a problem where it's restricting you from living the life you want, going places that you want to go, interactions that you want, then you might want to see if you have anxiety on a constant basis. You may feel a constant worry, you're never at peace, your mind's always going and it's always going to the worst of situations. Feeling on edge, restlessness, also trouble sleeping, and physical symptoms like having your heart racing or tension or even aches and pains, you're always holding on. Anxiety often shows up as physical factors in seniors. Okay, so now to know the difference between grief from depression. So during times of grief, loss of a loved one, you're going to feel feelings of pain that come in waves, though. They're intertwined with happy memories of the person who might have passed or departed. With depression, mood and thoughts tend to be negative most of the time, and feelings of worthlessness and self-loathing and low self-esteem. So whereas people who are grieving maintain their self-esteem, they just go through a period, ups and downs of feeling sadness of the loss of that person and memories. But when you start to feel more of your self-esteem start to lower, and start to feeling worthless and isolating yourself, then you might have a problem with depression. So the interesting thing too with depression and anxiety is it has an effect on your health, your physical health as well. So your mind is very powerful. So when you are always in this depressive state, it can cause and increase the risk of things like heart disease, increase memory problems. It can increase the chance and risk of cancer. It can mimic dementia-like symptoms, and a decline in mental health too. So it is important to address mental health and because of reasons like this. Okay, so now for our guest speakers, I would like to introduce Ron Friedman is one of our residents here. Friedrich, sorry. I practiced it too. He is from Central Illinois. He graduated from Iowa State and then from Illinois from medical school and ophthalmology. So now that I was trying to practice. In school, he also got his residency. He was in the Indian Health Services in Gallup from 1975 to 1980, then a private practice here in Albuquerque. In 1991, he received the Martin Luther King Award for starting an eye clinic for the homeless and volunteering there for 25 years. So, all right, let's give him a hand and bring him on up.
Hi, everybody. Wow, there's a big crowd here. No. I will speak louder. I don't know how to go any higher than this. So you might be in the wrong place. My topic is actually the emotional life of trees. Well, there are many types of mental illness, but we just have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to focus on depression. And so for my talk, let me back up just a second. I'm going to talk for maybe questions and answers, maybe half an hour or so. And then we'll leave time for Rachel. And
Just keep it close to your mouth.
okay, I'll do the best I can. Let's see, I was just saying that well, I'll talk for about a half an hour and leave questions at the end if you don't mind. So what I was saying is that I've drawn on three sources for good information for our class today. One is Understanding Depression, this great booklet from Harvard. Okay, you can actually get this. I have the phone number in case if you need it. The second thing are reliable on-site, or I should say, online sources, and the last thing is just my own experience. Okay, now I've learned that depression, there's different forms. The mildest of all is when a person says, "Gee, I'm so depressed about this dinner here today." That's not actually depression, but there are mild, moderate, and severe forms of real depression, and there's a lot of variation between people also. Now, here's something really interesting. In the last day, I have had 5 residents come up to me and say, "I am dealing with anxiety. My brother had depression and killed himself." And so I think that we have, just like the public, we have a fair number of folks right here who have a lot of experience on this. So it's interesting to me that depression and anxiety have increased dramatically due to what's happening in the country and in the world. And I think we know what I'm talking about there. Now, actually, depression has made it to historically high valid rates. About 18% of adults report depression at this time. So 18% times the total population of the country is about 48 million people. So we're just talking about a really big number. And the American Psychology Association said they're seeing a huge increase of people with anxiety and depression about what's happening. So something else that I think is really pretty interesting is that the highest rates of all are among young people. And we're going to talk about why that might be the case. And something else interesting is that depression is twice as high among women compared to men. And I'd like to talk about that too. So those are a few things we're going to tackle. Now, I think I'm doing this talk for 3 reasons. One is I'm hoping that it would help you or someone in your family. And the other thing is I wanted to establish for sure depression is an illness. Okay, it's like macular degeneration is the illness of the retina. Glucose metabolism imbalance is a disease of diabetics. So sometimes people, the stigma is still alive, okay? And some people would say to me, look, you have so much going for you, okay? You have a great family, you have financial stability. Why in the world would you be depressed? So why don't you snap out of it? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Okay? And they don't understand. You would never say this to a diabetic. So I just wanted to make that point. Then, let's just plow ahead. I wanted to shift to, I want to talk more right now about why women would have more problems with depression than men. And I saw a really interesting article put out by the Mayo Clinic and said that there's 2 big category, two big reasons why. Okay? One is that women have significant events in their lives which cause fluctuation of hormones. And changing hormones can affect mood. Okay? That's one thing. And the second thing are women suffer circumstances that men don't. And we'll get to that too. So back on the situation with, I'll hold it a little tighter here. Okay, so there's a big list of significant events in women that men don't have. And these cause mood changes. Puberty, or premenstrual problems, pregnancy, which pregnancy is really a big one. Then there's infertility, postpartum depression, menopause. Okay, and then we have this group of life circumstances that impact women. There's more poverty among women. There's the problems of assault, sexual abuse. These are things that men don't deal with, but it really raises the moods and the fluctuations in mood with women. It's really understandable. But if you look at the list, it's pretty easy to understand where women would suffer depression more. So I just wanted to make that point. Now the second one was, why are rates so high among young people, about 18 to 24? Now this really impacts me personally. I have two grandkids that are 18 and 24. And I think one of the reasons is too darn much time with social media. Okay? That's one. But there's other ones that are really important too. My grandkids worry about their future in view of what's happening in the country. They're worried about what's happening with the climate, cost of living. I mean, there's really legitimate reasons why young people would be impacted and worry about this. So that's the part I was trying to explain of why the rates are higher in women. Okay, let's go back here and see what's next. Okay. Well, I wanted to tell you a little about my own journey with depression. I did not have any problems at all until 1990. Okay, and what happened in 90 was I lost a person that was very dear to me. And that's when I first had my very first depression symptoms. Okay? And since that time, I've had 6 serious episodes. So my diagnosis is major recurrent depression. Major just indicating serious. Now, my most recent episode was a result of a divorce after a 30-year marriage. I didn't want this to happen. My wife was mentally ill, and it devastated me. So I've been trying to rebuild ever since. So during these spells, I have a lot of the symptoms that Crystal put up on the board there. I just lost pressure in doing almost everything. Depressed mood. I lost a lot of weight. I'm very skinny to belong in the first place, and I was spending way too much time in bed. I think it was just an escape, really, is why I did that. I had sluggish movement and thinking, very low energy and motivation. It was really hard to take a shower or do laundry. So it was, a hard time for me. And then the worst of all is hopelessness. There comes a time when I was thinking, okay, I've had 6 episodes, but this one here feels like I'm never going to recover. This is the one that got me. So I was, and the other thing about hopelessness, it raises the possibility of suicide. Because when a person feels totally hopeless, you can see how they would entertain that idea. Now, I did think about it some, but I would never do it. It would just devastate my kids and friends. I would never do that. But some people, especially people who are not adequately treated or not treated at all, they're really at risk more for suicide. Okay, so then there came a time when my kids and the therapist and I met, and we're trying to decide what to do with me, because I wasn't doing very well. Okay, so it boiled down to two choices. One was to go into a UNMH inpatient hospital. Okay? The second choice, my daughter said, "You're coming with me to Denver." And that's what happened. I did go to Denver and for about a month, and she was what I needed. She gave me a dose of tough love. Okay? She said, "I'm going to get you out of bed no matter what." And I want you to go with me. Yeah, let's get out of the house and do some stuff. And I did. I gradually did improve. So she helped me quite a bit. Then, I'm just kind of looking ahead here. Then, what came next was I started to improve some, and so my kids decided this would be a good place to live. So in November 22, that's when I came in. I was still somewhat depressed, but not too bad. So there was a combination of things that really helped me to improve. One was finding a good counselor or therapist. The second was a psychiatrist who knew medication and got me on the right stuff. That is hard. These meds have side effects that you don't notice anything. They'll say you won't notice anything for about 2 weeks. And then you have to change meds. It's a hassle, but medication does help people, and it did help me too. Some other factors were time outside, good support from you guys. There were several people here looking right at them that really helped me a lot. So kind of a combination of things. So then something wonderful happened. Okay? And you guess what it was. Carolyn came down to dinner. There's only one chair open at the dining table, and she got it, and then we met. It was kind of unusual because we grew up 50 miles apart in small towns in Illinois, but never met, of course. And then she said, "Well, can somebody show me the equipment in the gym?" And I volunteered. Okay, so the next day we're in the gym, I'm showing her stuff, and I had the distinct feeling that instead of looking at the equipment, she's looking at me and checking me out. So anyway, I just can't say enough for her. She gave me a lot of love and support. I want you to stand up. Now here's another question. What can we do to help folks that we know, a loved one maybe who has depression? What do we say and do with them? Okay? So a nice article in the National Institute of Mental Health recommended 4 or 5 things. Okay, one was to make sure that they're seeing either their primary doctor or a professional. There's something really sad about this topic. A large number of people, up to 30% that are diagnosed, never seek treatment. So it's really important to get help your loved one get to the doctor. And then offer support, understanding, patience, and encouragement. Another one was to invite them to get out of their apartment. Let's go for a ride. Let's go for a walk. Let's go in the garden. Just get them out of that room. And sometimes you have to almost force them, but they don't regret it. Let's throw it out there. And then make sure they have transportation to the doctor. Make sure they've signed up, for the band or made some arrangements. And then the big one is to remind them that even though they feel awful, okay, that treatment and time, it will improve. And you can count on it. So that's what I wanted to say. No, I didn't use too much time. Now we have some time for questions. Does anyone have something for me on this topic that you wanted to ask about?
What is your condition now?
Well, I'm glad to say I'm in a really great place in life right now. And see, my job now is to avoid the recurrence. And so I'm doing, exercise, I'm with friends outside. So I'm a happy camper right now. And I'm happy for a number of reasons, but one of them is sitting in the front row. Any other questions?
I think you should mention too that your helping hands, helping other people helps too.
I'm so glad she brought that up. This is a problem. If you've had a career that was meaningful for you and satisfying, and then you retire and you come to a place like this, it's easy. You dismiss the satisfaction of your job, and you need something to make you feel useful or some kind of purpose. So the Helping Hands idea and taking pictures, helping others, that really helps me immensely. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. Anything else? Okay. Yes, Mildred?
Your wood carving is so meaningful to me to look at it and look at the sage. Where would you say that is in?
Well, I couldn't do my wood carvings. The question was, one more time, Mildred.
Your wood carving.
Yes.
It's very meaningful to me to go up to the 6th floor and look at your wood carving. And I never would have guessed that you ever had a problem with depression. When I look at that wood carving, I would think, gosh, he believes all these things on this wood carving. I wish I could believe more of them all the time instead of just from time to time.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm really glad you like it. I was not able to do it for about 2 years. I just lost my creative energy.
Ron, tell them what she said.
Okay, she was inquiring about my wood carvings, that they were inspirational to her. And did I grab that right?
Yes, good. You did, right.
There's another topic, a real quick one I want to add. There are a group of things called alternate therapies. And one of those is pet therapy, creation, something that helps you to create, writing, painting, wood carving, whatever. That's another good one. And I saw a cute cartoon along these lines. Okay, Ziggy is looking at his pet. It's a little cartoon character, and he's looking at his pet. And he said, I know that pet therapy is really good for me, but how do you have a relationship with a goldfish? Do you have some other questions? Okay. Charlie.
What place does humor come in?
Well, my theory on humor is if you're feeling good, you're going to be more likely to have humor in your life and tell people things. But if you're not doing so well, it's hard. I think it's a great sign of mental health. That's the answer. That reminds me, a patient said he's not going to go to this therapist anymore because the therapist keeps going behind his back to help him. That's pretty weird. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. We have plenty of time, actually. It's only 4.
There's EST therapy. I
Oh,
spoke
okay.
to you about that.
I wanted to add this. Okay, she brought up the other therapies that are available. Okay, one is called electroconvulsive therapy. In other words, shock therapy. Okay, and for people who are severely depressed, who are not responding to medication, it has a role. And all I can say is it can be helpful to people. I know about that. So that's one of them. There's other kinds of brain stimulation techniques and all. But I would say that shock therapy has a place.
You could say, Ron, you could say something about whether it's genetic or not.
Oh, I'm happy you brought it up. Okay. If you have a parent with depression, a young person's risk is definitely higher that person will have some struggle with depression also. That's really true. I didn't get into causes too much because Crystal did a good job of showing what's on the screen here. Here's something else. Yesterday's journal report. 32,000 young people in New Mexico not working or in school. Okay? So I'm just trying to paint this picture that life is not easy for young people. And these folks are really at risk for mental illness, the criminal justice system, you name it. So I think it's harder today being a teenager than it was for all of us. Yeah. Oh, thanks. I'll pick that up.
Maybe they have rotten parents who possibly could have another was on drugs or I mean the children leave and so they don't have the role models.
Yeah, I did not actually read the whole article on why these 32,000 are, that way. I think they got it. I just thought of one last thing. I told you that there are different things are recommended when you have a loved one with depression. But my Aunt Phyllis had either call this funny or inappropriate. Okay? Phyllis would call me on the phone and say, "Hi Ronnie, how's your brain?" It's either funny or not wise. You want to go for it, Rachel?
Sure, if you're ready.
Yeah, come on over. I enjoyed talking with you guys.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Thank you so much for having us today. Oh, all the notes are going everywhere. I just want to say thank you to Crystal for putting this together. This was a phenomenal idea, and you can tell by the response that we're having how much this is an important topic to all of you. I want to thank Ron for being vulnerable and coming on up and sharing things from his personal life. It's not always easy. So make sure you say thank you to Ron this week and give him a high five. I'm coming today from the perspective of faith, and so that's kind of my basis of where I'm coming from today. But I am a person who has also dealt with a lot of pain and loss and trauma in my life. Some of you know little bits of my story. I often don't share it all because it's incredibly overwhelming. If you would like to come to a chapel service or would like to hear my story at another time, I would love to share my whole testimony with all of you. But I lost my father and my brother when I was very young. And recently I've lost my sister and my mother, and I've lost my entire immediate family. So I've been through a lot of pain and loss and trauma in my life. So I am no stranger to dealing with mental health issues, and I at times have had to seek out the help of professionals as well as pastoral care and friends and other Christians that I really honored and was welcoming into my life to like speak into my life and help me deal with some of the things that I was struggling with. But Ron's statistics were pretty on the mark, because the things that I looked at today, we're talking about 1 in 5 adults is dealing with mental health issues. So that's 20%. He said 18, we're looking at 20%. And the current statistic right now is 1 in 6 children are dealing with mental health issues. So it's incredibly on the rise and increasing. And we're seeing more and more people dealing not only with depression, but also anxiety. So where is all this stemming from? What is the cause of this uptick in mental health issues? And so I want to tell you that it's a little bit to do with nature and nurture. And so we are sometimes predispositioned to have and deal with depression. Again, what Ron talked about is if you have a parent who has dealt with depression and mental health issues, you're ambivalent toward, you're more, what's the word I'm looking for? Thank you. Susceptible, thank you, to that as well. And so nature times nurture helps bring about mental health issues. And so for some things, whether you have dealt with trauma or abuse or problems in your past, you can't control that. It was not your fault. However, dealing with your mental health is your responsibility. And so I kind of liken it to a car accident, right? You're driving along, everything's great, someone slams into you, and you're injured. Your car is broken, right? It's not your fault. You had nothing to do with that car accident, but it is your responsibility to take care of it, right? Now I need to see a doctor. I have to see a chiropractor. I have to take care of insurance issues. I got to go to the car repair shop and get the dent fixed and get the paint fixed. So what happens in our lives is that these things compound over years and years, and sometimes people deal with it well, and sometimes people don't deal with it well. And there's an old saying that says, hurt people hurt other people. And so we have to take responsibility for the things that have happened in our lives and recognize those warning factors when they come in. So Crystal did a phenomenal job of what does that look like for older adults. It looks like this. It looks like anxiety. It looks like isolation. It looks like different problems that you're having. So we want to deal with it. And oftentimes, especially in the church, the topic of mental health has been avoided, and it hasn't been dealt with very well. And so sometimes people feel embarrassed about talking about it, and they don't necessarily want to bring it up for other people. And there's a stigma that's attached to it. So today, all of us here are ready to break the stigma of mental health. We are here to talk about it, we're here to deal with it, and we are here to help people who are struggling. That's our purpose, right? So oftentimes, if you're in a faith community, you're embarrassed to share that with people because I don't have enough faith. Maybe if I talk to my pastor or my friend or my life group leader or my Bible study person, they're going to think, I don't have any faith in God. Or maybe you think, I'm the only person that's going through this. And let me tell you, that's an absolute lie. You're not the only person who's dealing with that. Or you might think, well, everybody else is perfect. My life is totally screwed up and everything is wrong for me, but her life looks good and his life looks good, right? And guess what? There's no perfect people out there. So we can just get rid of that. Get rid of it completely. In 2023, right before my mother passed away, my pastor did an entire sermon series called Out of the Cave. And it was to break the stigma of mental health in our church. And he was very open with his own struggles and problems that he had regarding mental health issues. He brought in his own counselor to speak to us. And, one of the things that we talked about is that it's okay to not be okay. When you have these issues that are compiling and you're getting nervous or worried or frustrated, it's okay to feel those things, and it's okay to share them with other people. It's okay to see counselors and therapists. It's okay if you are taking medication. Like, we want to break that stigma. Oh, medication's bad. No, medication is a good thing for some people. And that's exactly what's been prescribed by their doctors. And that's exactly what they need to take. So we need to make sure that it's okay to support people in that, right? And so we want to recognize when our mindsets are headed off in different directions, because your mindset determines your movement. So if I set my mind on something and I start moving in that direction, that's where I'm going to go. And so when our mind is confused or frustrated, or we're so lost in our own self, we don't know what's going on, we have to help to reset that mindset. And so there's a lot of different ways that we can do that, coming from a faith community background, coming here at Manzano del Sol. The number one and the number two mental health issues that people deal with are anxiety and depression. And so again, it's just becoming rampant in our society. And so depression often deals with the past, things that you cannot control. You have had trauma or problems or issues or loss in your life. And those are things you can't ever change. And anxiety often deals with the worry about the future. We're concerned about what may happen or what is going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And so coming from that faith perspective is that we want to live as much as we can in the present, right? We focus on the past. We know that it's happened. We know that the future is here, but as much as we can, we want to live in the present moment. And so we have to deal with these, mental health issues as they come about, because it takes our focus off the present. And that's where we want to be. And we are body, soul, and spirit. We are a person who has our corporeal body. We have our soul, which is our mind, our will, and our emotions. And then we have our spirit person, which is the deepest part of you, your personality, right? That's the core of who you are. And so we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, body, soul, and spirit. And that's what I love so much about Manzano del Sol, is because we can do those things here. So we have Crystal and Ruth, who work in our wellness department. We have the dietary team that's working on our bodies. They offer you opportunities to exercise and get out and do fun activities, and they're feeding us well here. That's taking care of our bodies. We want to do what we can to make sure that our bodies are in good alignment. And then we want to take care of our soul, right? Our mind. We want to stay active as much as we can, right? That's why we have Christine and our lifestyles area. She's providing great activities for you to come and be a part of things and not to isolate, to make sure that you are getting out with people and enjoying things and being parts of community and groups, right? And then taking care of your spirit. And that's where I come in as your chaplain, as your pastor. I can help you with your spirit development. And so all of us, we're working together here at Manzano del Sol to make sure that you are taken care of holistically. So we're not just looking at you in one particular direction. We're looking at you complete as the person that I believe that God created you to be. And so we want to realign those things. So when our body isn't feeling well and we're in pain, right? That's something that's out of alignment. So we want to work to make sure as much as possible to draw that body back into alignment, right? When our mind is confused and full of things, we want to make sure that we're trying to align our mind. And then of course our spirit person. And what does that look like for you to encourage your spirit man? So that's where I can come in, right? And so in the National Mental Health website, their theme this week was Many Good Days Together. And so that was the whole theme of this year's mental health campaign, is that we want to have good days together. So we want to work together as a community to bring greater mental health awareness and health and healing for people as much as possible. So when we're feeling those things, we want to isolate. I want to hang out in bed all day, right? I want to just mindlessly watch the television. That's an easy answer, right? It takes more effort to get out there, to not isolate, and to find my community, because we're better together. So here are some things that we can do at Manzano del Sol from the spirit person to talk about that you can do. We have church services, right? We have chapel on Wednesday night and Sunday afternoons. We have Catholic services on Monday. They say the rosary on one week, and then they have a communion service on the other. We have Bible studies. I teach one on the healthcare side on Mondays. Carrie Lee teaches one on Tuesdays, and then I have one on Friday mornings. We have the meditation group that meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9:30 in our hobby room. I know Betty Logan did a phenomenal job with the grief group. She's taking a bit of a break from that, but probably at some point we're going to start up a grief group again. We have the monthly floor meetings, the meetups that I'm starting to do. And fourth floor, by the way, you have the best attendance so far, so shout out to the fourth floor. But we have these opportunities to come together and to meet and to socialize and to get to know each other and to hug a neck or shake a hand and just tell people, I'm so glad you're here, Charlene. I'm really glad to see you, right? So we don't want to give up meeting together. We want to meet together more often, if possible. And then, of course, you can always meet with me. I am not a trained counselor, but I often sit with people, listen to stories. I will cry with you, I will pray with you, I will encourage you. We can look at different avenues, whatever that works for you. And if I feel that it's a little bit beyond what I can do, I will recommend a particular person to you, whether that's a therapist or a counselor or someone who can sort of take the reins from me if I feel like it's beyond me. And then, of course, you can feed your spirit person personally, right? Your own personal prayer or meditation or devotions, reading of scriptures or other sacred texts that bring you comfort, positive thinking and affirmations. I love that Crystal put out all these incredible affirmations up on the table. Go grab one, go journal about it, write about it. All of those things are really, really good. Both, they talked about getting outside, being out in nature, getting some fresh air. Do you know that doctors now are actually writing prescriptions for vitamin D? And it's not a pill. It's like, get outside. Get outside. Enjoy the sunshine. We have 300 days of sunshine in New Mexico. It is good for you to exercise, to walk. We have this beautiful walking track. We have the garden that you can get around. If you want to take a spin around sometime, just give me a phone call. And then also, watch what you intake into your mind. Oftentimes with television, the radio, social media, it can be very overwhelming, very anxiety-driven, and sometimes we need to shut it off. Just turn it off. There's a remote control, and there's an off button. So sometimes we need to turn off the noise. So go ahead and turn off the noise. So there's lots of things that we can do personally and corporately to help improve our mental health. Today I have 2 resources for you. They're on the back table. I did not bring enough because you guys came out in droves today. But I have my business card over in the little container. Some of you were saying that you didn't have my phone number or my email. It has both of them on there. So you are welcome to call me or send me an email or come visit me over on the healthcare side. I would love to help you in this journey. And the second thing is I have a page of scriptures from the Bible that deal with anxiety or fear or worry. And so there's some really good things that, again, you can just say them out loud read them to yourself at night if you need to. And there's a little prayer at the bottom for specifically dealing with anxiety and depression. But again, I'm here to serve you and help you in any way possible. So please come talk to me. I am a resource for you. Crystal is a resource. And we love you so, so much. And I think Ron wants to wrap it up here.
Thank you, Rachel. That's really, really good. I just wanted to add two quick things. I told you that my job now is to not have a recurrence. Okay? And one way that's really helpful for me, I have my own little affirmation. Okay? And mine is life is a gift. Every day is a blessing. Okay? And I'm just putting myself in God's hands, and that helps me a lot. Yeah, on a different subject, I wanted just to talk a minute about what happens chemically in the brain. I'll give you the short version of this. Okay, this is really complex. Okay, but the short version is, let's say you have some very stressful events going on in your life, like loss of a loved one, loss of a job, and so forth. Okay. These kind of things affect the cells of the brain called neurons, okay, and also affects the little chemical messengers between cells. Those are called neurotransmitters, okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that the short version, if someone asks you, what's causing depression inside of my brain? I would say, the short version is multiple factors are affecting these cells and the messengers between the cells. And if they have any more questions, it's too hard for me to answer. That's it.
Well, I think this was the best seminar that we've had so far. So thank you, Ron and Rachel. You did an amazing job. I hope you got some good insights, some good tips. You know, reach out to your neighbors or friends that you haven't seen in a while if they might be depressed. So, and if you're feeling depressed, get some help. Reach out. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. Grab the resources at the table. If there's not enough, I can make more copies too. But thank you so much, Ron and Rachel. You guys did an amazing job. Really wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for joining us.